My wife said, "I've secured the house." I replied, "And I've secured a fraud annulment." Then I canceled all her credit cards, changed the locks on the house she bragged about, and sent a copy of our prenup to her backup plan. And I just smiled, because she didn't just lose her meal ticket, she's about to be sued for marital fraud. Original post. My name is David, I'm 35 years old. For the past 3 years, I thought my life was finally on the right track. I run a small but successful construction business that I built from the ground up. I own my own house. I'm financially comfortable. After years of focusing on work, I met a woman, Qley, through mutual friends, and things just clicked. She was 32, charming, vibrant, and seemed to genuinely appreciate the stable life I had built. She used to joke that I was her rock, so stable in a world full of chaos. At the time, I took it as the highest compliment. Don't miss the twist. Subscribe and help us reach 1,000 subscribers. About 6 months into our relationship, she quit her job. She said the office environment was toxic, and it was destroying her mental health. I was supportive. I told her to take her time finding something new. I started covering her share of the rent at her old place, then our groceries, then a few vacations. It felt natural. When you love someone, you take care of them. Looking back, maybe that was the first major red flag I chose to ignore. We got married earlier this year. It was a beautiful ceremony, one that I paid for almost entirely. The honeymoon in Italy was my treat as well. I didn't mind. I just wanted to see her happy. I thought we were starting our forever. But the moment we got back from the honeymoon, it was like a switch flipped. The warm, affectionate woman I had married was gone, replaced by a cold and distant stranger. Suddenly, she was always too tired for a real conversation, or too busy with vague errands to spend time together. Sex became a rare and detached event. And her phone, which had always been an open book, suddenly had a new, complex password. When I'd walk into a room, it would go face down on the counter instantly. I was confused and hurt. I thought it was post-wedding blues, or maybe the stress of her still being unemployed was getting to her. I tried to talk to her about it, but she would just shut down, telling me I was being needy. 2 weeks ago, the reason for her coldness was delivered to me in a soul-crushing text message. It was from a mutual friend, someone who had known both of us for years. The text was simple. "I'm so sorry to do this, but you need to see who you're married to." Attached were screenshots of a conversation between my wife and another man. The messages had been going on for months, starting even before our wedding. She called this man her backup plan. In one message, sent just days after our honeymoon, she wrote, "The wedding went perfectly. I've secured the house. Now I just need to figure out the next move." I couldn't breathe. My entire body went cold. Secured the house. Backup plan. The words echoed in my mind. She hadn't married me. She had acquired me. Our entire relationship, our marriage, was a business transaction, and I was just a mark. I sat there in the living room of the house she had secured, feeling like a fool, a ghost in my own life. I didn't know what to do, but I knew the woman who would be walking through the door that evening was not my wife. She was a predator, and I was her prey. Update 1. I waited for her to come home that night. I didn't drink. I didn't pace. I just sat in the dark of our living room, a cold, methodical calm settling over me. The emotional shock had burned itself out, leaving behind a core of pure, hard ice. She walked in around 7, all smiles, holding a bag of takeout. "I thought we could have a quiet night in," she said, her voice bright and cheerful. The performance was flawless. "We need to talk," I said from the shadows of the living room. She jumped, startled. "David, why are you sitting in the dark? You scared me." I turned on a lamp. I didn't stand up. I just gestured to the chair across from me. "Sit down, Qley." She put the food down on the kitchen counter, her smile gone, replaced by a wary, guarded expression. She sat down, perching on the edge of the seat like a bird ready to take flight. I didn't waste time with questions. I just took out my phone, opened the screenshots our friend had sent, and placed it on the coffee table between us. I didn't say a word. I just watched her. I saw her eyes scan the messages. I saw the flicker of recognition, then the dawning horror of being caught. Her face, which had been a mask of innocent confusion, went completely blank. She looked up at me, and there was no panic, no remorse. There was just a cold, hard defiance. She didn't even try to deny it. "So you saw them," she said, her voice flat. "He's your backup plan?" I asked, my own voice a stranger to me. "Secured the house." She just shrugged, a small, infuriatingly casual gesture. "I needed stability," she said, as if that explained everything. "It's not my fault you can afford things I can't. A woman has to look out for herself." The sheer, unapologetic entitlement of her words was breathtaking. She wasn't a cheater begging for forgiveness. She was a strategist explaining a failed business move. In that moment, the last vestiges of the love I had for her turned to ash and blew away. I was looking at a predator. "Get out," I said. The words were quiet, but they held the weight of a death sentence. She laughed, a short, ugly sound. "You can't kick me out, David. This is my house now too. I'm your wife. I'll see you in divorce court. I'll take half of everything." "I don't think so," I said, and for the first time, I allowed a small, cold smile to touch my lips. I stood up and walked into my home office. She thought this was a divorce. She had no idea that I was planning for an annulment. She thought she had secured the house. She was about to find out that all she had secured was a one-way ticket back to the life she had tried so desperately to escape. Update 2: the day after I kicked her out, my life became a strategic operation. My first call was to my lawyer. I laid out the entire timeline: the 3-year relationship, the fact that she quit her job early on, that I had paid for everything, and the very recent marriage. Then I showed him the screenshots. His eyes lit up. He said that, given the short duration of the marriage, and her own written admission of her motives, we didn't have a divorce case. We had a fraud case. We would be filing for an annulment. My second step was to secure my finances. I went to the bank and froze our small joint account. I canceled the supplementary credit cards I had given her, the ones she had been using for her daily expenses and shopping sprees. The lifestyle she was entitled to was officially over. My third step was securing my home. A locksmith came and changed every lock on the house. I boxed up every single thing she owned. Every piece of clothing, every book, every photo. I was erasing her from my physical space. She, in the meantime, had gone to a friend's house and started her own campaign. She sent me a barrage of furious texts. She threatened me with her lawyer. She told me she was entitled to half the value of the house, half my business, and significant alimony. She truly believed she had hit the jackpot. While she was busy making threats, I was busy taking one final, decisive action. It wasn't hard to figure out who the backup plan was. I found his profile easily. His name was Greg. I wrote him a short, polite message. "Hi Greg, my name is David. I'm Qley's husband. I was recently made aware of your conversations with her, and I thought it was only fair that you have all the information before you proceed. I've attached a copy of the prenuptial agreement, Qley, and I signed. I've highlighted the sections regarding the protection of assets owned prior to the marriage, and the standard infidelity clause. As you can see, she will be leaving this marriage with exactly what she brought into it: nothing. The house and the business are mine. I wish you both the best." I attached the document and hit send. Then I blocked him. The effect was exactly what I had anticipated. Greg, the backup plan, vanished. His text to her stopped. His calls went unanswered. The safe, stable landing she had been planning for had ghosted her. The moment he realized there was no payday involved. She was now cut off financially, locked out of the house she thought she had secured, and abandoned by the man she had lined up to replace me. She was utterly and completely alone, with nothing but the consequences of her own greed. Update 3. A few weeks later, with the annulment proceedings underway and her legal position crumbling, Qley's tone changed. The angry threats were replaced by a flood of desperate, tearful voicemails. She was sorry. She had made a terrible mistake. She loved me. She begged me to meet her, just to talk. I knew it was a performance, a last-ditch effort to salvage something from the wreckage, but I agreed. I needed to see her one last time, to close this chapter on my own terms. We met at a sterile, impersonal coffee shop downtown. The vibrant, confident woman I had married was gone. The person sitting across from me looked worn, desperate, and small. She launched into a long, rambling apology. She blamed her fear of being poor, her difficult childhood, her toxic ex-workplace. She blamed everything except her own character. "I know I messed up, David," she said, her eyes welling with tears. "But I do love you. I was just scared. Can't we try again? Or at least, can't you be more generous in the settlement?" I let her finish her entire pathetic speech. Then I just looked at her, and I felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness. Just a profound and final emptiness. "You don't love me, Qley," I said, my voice quiet and even. "You never did. You loved my income. You loved my house. You loved my stability. I wasn't a person to you. I was a business acquisition. And your mistake wasn't betraying me. Your mistake was bragging about your successful acquisition to your backup plan before the deal was truly closed." I saw a flicker of the old defiance in her eyes, but it was quickly extinguished by the bleak reality of her situation. "Greg is no longer interested, by the way," I continued, a cold satisfaction in my voice. "It turns out he wasn't in love with you either. He was in love with the idea of my money. You two deserved each other." I stood up from the table. "The annulment is proceeding as planned. You will get nothing. You can speak to my lawyer from now on. We have nothing more to say to each other." I walked out of that coffee shop and didn't look back. I left her sitting there, a predator who had been outmaneuvered, finally realizing that she was the one who had been trapped. Final update: it has been 6 months. The annulment was granted last month. Legally, my marriage to Qley never happened. It was declared a fraud from the outset. As per the prenup and the nature of the annulment, she walked away with nothing but the clothes on her back, and the debt she had accumulated since I cut her off. She is living with her parents in her hometown, working a retail job at the local mall. The glamorous life she had meticulously planned for herself is a distant, bitter memory. The friends who once admired her lifestyle have all disappeared. Greg, the backup plan, is still married and has blocked her on all platforms. I am healing. The emotional wreckage was extensive, and I am in therapy to work through the profound sense of being used, of being seen not as a human being but as an object, a resource. It will take time, but I know I will recover. My business is thriving. My house is my sanctuary again, no longer just a secured asset in someone else's portfolio. My revenge was not loud or dramatic. It was quiet and financial. It was the simple act of taking away the prize she thought she had won. She didn't want love, she wanted a lifestyle. My revenge was giving her back the one she came from. The other day, I was going through some old photos and found one of her from when we first started dating. She was laughing, full of life. She had written on the back, "To my rock, my stable man in a world of chaos." I looked at the photo for a long moment, then I dropped it into the shredder. My stability is no longer for sale.